Let me get you on camera. Where you from?
California.
No, for real. You know, I'm serious though.
Watts, baby.
I know where you from though. Where you from?
Eastside PJ Watts.
I'm from Grace 2 Rock, nigga.
Right.
They call you, homie?
Big Slice.
Big Slice?
Yes, yes.
All right, nigga. They call me Puto, cuz.
Right.
And that hustle. Big shout out to SPI, Spotter Low. You know, I'm in the black box. Had to come through, tap in, show love one time. Yeah, y'all make sure y'all subscribe. Stay tuned. All that.
That boy KB goes live. Got an update on what's been going on with Boosie and Vladimir. Shout out Boosie for looking out for the homies. Biffy, Crip Mac, appreciate it. Can't say how much. But he been going on with Vlad. Some say he being petty. Some saying Vlad being stingy. Some saying Boosie just don't really know how it go, but he's taking an independent route. When KB goes live, does good work. Let's see what he's talking about as he sums up what's been going on between Boosie and Vlad. With no further ado, let's see what these two have been up to.
All right, so it looks like DJ Vlad and his favorite guest on his YouTube channel are officially having a falling out. And of course, I'm talking about Boosie, right? Boosie's been up on Vlad's platform dozens and dozens of times. Normally, these two put out banging interviews together. There's hella viral clips on them. But as of right now, it does not look like that is going to be the case moving forward, because Boosie recently went live and explained to his fans that he doesn't feel the need to continue to do Vlad TV appearances because Vlad refused to pay him an extra $5,000 to appear.
I ain't do Vlad no more.
Thing is this, to be in a position to turn down 25, 30,000 to come have an hour or two conversation is a beautiful, blessed, fortunate situation to be in. Can you imagine?
We couldn't come up with a agreement. He didn't want to pay me. I wanted $5,000 more than he wanted to pay me. He didn't want to pay me, so I think I'm gonna make more money doing it this way. And I'm editing my interview now.
I don't know what time it is. Let's talk about it.
Uh-oh. Gotta get ready. Just 7 months. Let's go. Hey, this Wednesday, I'm doing the interview. I'm basically gonna be answering the questions that's been in my DM since October, since my last interview. October, September, so it's gonna be a long ass interview about everything that been asked to me in the last 6-7 months. I don't know where I'm gonna put it at yet, but it'll be dropping the week after. I don't know where I'm gonna put it at yet, but of course you're gonna have to pay for it. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy. I'm just gonna let everybody know how I feel about everything since October.
Okay, now as you can see, Boosie seems to have set up his own camera here. It looks like he's doing his own interview, which I gotta say, I don't think that that's a bad move. I do believe it'll create extra revenue for Boosie. Do I think that that interview will perform as good as an interview on Vlad's platform? Probably not, because Vlad has almost 6 million subscribers now. Well, actually, he has almost 7 million subscribers now. So he's got that built-in audience that watches the interviews, and that kind of helps create the revenue from the interviews that he does. Now, I do think Boosie's interview will be successful if he releases it on his own. I just don't know if it'll be as successful as it is on Vlad TV. I could be wrong, though. I do think it's a good business move for Boosie, but, and y'all know I don't like to defend Vlad a whole lot, but if Vlad is paying appearance fees for people to show up, he should be able to have a profit margin left after the interview so that he himself can make money just because of the size of the platform that he does have. Now, Lil Boosie says right there that the relationship is basically deteriorating because Vlad refused to pay him an extra $5,000. Now, according to Vlad, that is actually not the case. See, Boosie was getting $25,000 to appear. He says he only wanted an extra $5,000. 25,000, putting him at 30. But Vlad says that's not true. He says that Boosie actually requested a 40% increase in his appearance fee, despite the numbers on Boosie's interviews slightly declining over the years. And Vlad says that he showed the numbers to Boosie to try to explain to him why it didn't make any sense business-wise to do this, but it didn't change the outcome. Boosie still refused to do an interview without the increase in pay.
Originally, I wasn't paying him to do interviews, but over time, as the views kept going up and people were really gravitating towards these interviews, we started working out appearance fees.
So look, basically what he's saying is he stacked the bank off Boosie, off of interview after interview after interview. I don't know how many, but he wasn't paying at all. So basically he owed for them too, because he ate and Boosie didn't.
And the fees slowly went up. And over the last couple of years, the fee that we actually stuck at was around was $25,000 per interview. And that price was justified because Boosie was pulling in like 6 million views.
How many millions of views did you get off of him before you started paying him? That's a very interesting question on this subject.
For every interview. And in that particular situation, and I showed Boosie all the numbers and all my back-end numbers and so forth. When he was getting around 5.5 million views, I would make around 35,000 off that interview, and he would make 25,000.
How much did you make off the interviews when he didn't make anything? Let's hear those figures.
Right, so I had a $10,000 profit margin. He still made the majority of the money, but I was still making $10,000, so I was cool with that. Right? And we were rocking like that for years. So some time had passed. It was, I don't know, about 6, 7, 8 months since our last interview. So I just hit him up one day, a couple of weeks ago, and we had a conversation. And this conversation was a private business conversation, but Boosie recently did a live where he revealed parts of this conversation. And in his live, he said that he had asked for $5,000 more, and I said no, which is why he's not going to do the interview. Now, that's not exactly accurate. So, I wasn't going to put any of this out there, but because he started putting out numbers out there and people started going, oh, Vlad.
Why would you be so careful not to reveal the numbers in the Boosie situation? But with Marlon Wayans, you had no problem exposing all the details.
Being cheap, why is it only $5,000? You could pay him that, not knowing the whole picture. So I'm going to lay out the whole picture for everyone just to explain what exactly is going on. So when I called Boosie, like I said, the fee had always been $25,000. He said, I want $40,000.
So Vlad kind of starts to break down the numbers a little bit here. He says, Boosie was doing 6 million views in totality when it came to his interviews across all clips and even the long form clip interview that gets posted when Vlad does these interviews. And he says that the math just didn't make sense, right? So just to check if Vlad is being truthful here, let's whip out our handy dandy calculator and see if Vlad's math adds up. So he says Boosie was doing roughly 6 million views, again, in totality across all the clips that were posted from each interview. When you go look at Vlad's channel, you can see a lot of the clips that he posts fall between like the 6 to 10 minute mark. Really very few go over that 10-minute mark, aside from the full interview clips that he posts. And that means that he's averaging probably, and this is a rough estimate, anywhere between $5 and $8 per.
I'm shocked that someone like Vlad would make sure each clip is at least 8 minutes. Interesting.
1,000 views that each clip does. Okay, so to figure out the math on how much revenue these interviews were generating, it's pretty simple. You take the 6 million views, you divide it by the 1,000 views it takes to get paid. That gives you 6,000, and then you times that by how much per 1,000 views he's getting. So let's just on a high end say he's getting $8. In that scenario, the interview would make about $48,000. If on the low end he's getting $5 per 1,000 views on these interview clips, clips, he's making about $30,000. So the math does seem to add up. It does seem that Vlad is being truthful. And if he was giving Boosie 25,000 and it did 6 million views and he only got $5 per 1,000 views, then he only generated 30,000 in revenue, meaning that his profit on each interview is only about 5,000 bucks. Now, again, that's variable. It probably shifts up and down depending on the total number of views that interview does. But on the low end, he's getting about 30,000 bucks. On the high end, he's getting about 48 to 50,000 bucks, which, to be honest, is fair, right? Because again, he has 7 million YouTube subscribers. So it is fair for Vlad to be able to profit from the interviews he's doing, especially since he's, confessed that he is paying appearance fees for some of his guests. It's no different than booking an artist for a concert. You're not going to book an artist for a concert and pay them $100,000 if the concert is only going to generate $105,000. You see what I'm saying? Like, the promoter needs to be able to make money from it too. Now, granted, Vlad probably makes money from other social media platforms, from his views and impressions and everything like that. But from YouTube alone, Vlad's math does seem to add up.
And I'm like, fam, I can't do 40,000. That's just putting me in the hole in a situation like this. He's like, well, I'll go as low as 35. And I'm like, man, listen, I might be able to do 30 after I run the numbers, but 35 is definitely out of.
Imagine him offering for you 30 and you walking away. Damn. Damn.
The question, but let me go ahead and run my numbers and actually see what's going on. So I went back and I looked through the last, 5 or 6 interviews, and I looked, and the profit margin on each of these interviews was around $10,000. So I showed him the numbers. I sent him a spreadsheet showing him my back end numbers. And I'm like, bro, the most I could do is 25. You're asking for 35. Your traffic has been dipping over the years. You've gone from about 6 million to about 5.5 to about 5 and some change. So you're looking at about maybe a 10, 15% decrease in views, which means a 10 to 15% decrease in revenue, as you know, but you're asking for a 40% increase in appearance fee, a 40% increase. It doesn't make any business sense, because what'll end up happening is, look, Boosie's already at home, right? He wakes up, he does the interview. There's no cost associated with him, and he was getting paid $25,000. I have to fly because I don't have a studio or a camera crew in Georgia, in Atlanta, so I have to hire a camera crew in Atlanta. I have to fly from.
Doesn't have to fly. There are people, especially since he's off camera often, like the person who's interviewing him now, he could just hire a crew there to pull up on Boosie, and then he can be on FaceTime with Boosie to ask the question. There are people that run very successful platforms that do it like that right now. I've worked with them.
LA to Atlanta. I have to get a hotel. I have to have all the costs associated with it. And then afterwards, I have to pay to get the video edited and pay my crew.
He has to perhaps pay to get it edited, or he can just dump it at Riverside and get it edited automatically through the software. But all the flight, hotel, is unnecessary. The camera crew, put up on Boosie. When you get on FaceTime, you ask the question, simple.
And everything else like that. And as you know, with YouTube, I'm taking all the risk because sometimes videos get demonetized, right? Especially when you talk about someone like a Boosie who has, he swears, he's talking about a lot of edgy stuff. And at the end of the day, I'm taking 100% of the risk. So I'm like, listen, I cannot pay you $35,000 when I'm going to make nothing. Or maybe I'm even going to take a loss. And Boosie was like, yo, you're being cheap. And I said, I'm not being cheap.
Yeah, I mean, I'm no fan of DJ Vlad, but what he's saying makes a lot of sense. Now, why did this entire situation come about? Because it's not like Boosie just dropped a banging album or a super single that's got the radio on fire, or had some kind of big trial or something like that that just concluded that justifies the increase in pay that he is requesting, right? So what led to it? Well, apparently,
put it out there a long time ago, he was ready to interview after, when he was fighting them cases and when he beat it and all that. It just, nobody really bid, it seems. He probably had them numbers floating around behind the scenes that not many were interested. Vlad is probably one of the very few willing to give Boosie that type of money for an interview.
Vlad talked to Sean Cotton. Sean Cotton's the guy who runs Say Cheese TV. And Sean Cotton told him that he spoke with Boosie. And Boosie basically told him that he heard Vlad bragging about how much money he had paid Tekashi 6ix9ine for an appearance on Vlad TV. Boosie felt offended that he wasn't getting that same kind of pay. And so he decided that he wanted to.
Feelings, gotta understand. Feelings don't have no feelings, man. I'm sure Vlad didn't give Tekashi an escalated price because of favoritism. I'm sure there was some type of mathematical equation that he applied to make sure that he could quantify an interview with Tekashi at that price. I'm sure.
Up his price.
This all comes after 6ix9ine got cool with Vlad, and Vlad's running around saying, yeah, that's the most I ever paid for an interview. And Vlad is like, and Boosie like, hey, like, nigga, we over here, we do crazy too. We do 100 parts. We do 100-part joints, and then the full interview, you making an extra million. Man, give me 5 more thousand.
You know, that's one reason. The other reason is a Boosie is a hustler, and this is just what hustlers do, bro. They're gonna try to increase their bag.
Yeah, but they don't walk away from free money. And when you have to quantify what it takes to have someone put a camera on you and listen to you talk, not rhyme, none of that, to walk away from a 30 ball, that's not a hustler's move. No, not at all. That's somebody that's slightly gotten their feelings, man, being arrogant, bro. Not a hustler. Hustler would need that 30. He ain't, because there's not even no guarantee as to the context or content that I'm finna share with you. Whatever it is that you finna say on your own platform, you could add a version of that. You could do what you're doing right now and still ain't got that 30.
If it fails, it fails. But if it succeeds, then they successfully made more money. You know what I mean? Like, it's just the way that the business works.
I'm being put in a situation where you make all the money and I make none of the money. It simply doesn't make any business sense.
Well, let me ask you, what was it that caused the price hike? Because I feel like...
Not this goofy asking him the questions. That's crazy. This is crazy when these type of individuals get to establish who has relevance amongst us, y'all. It's crazy.
It would be more understandable if he just beat a
Shout out my boy Byron Blake. Oh, my mama.
major case, or if something significant happened, and you know what I mean? Like, sometimes we see rappers go through crazy.
Matter of fact, my mama, I've had enough listening to these two colonizers discuss the value of my people. It just reminds me of slavery. White folks deciding what black folks should get for what they have to offer. I'm not interested in hearing that too much further. Y'all be grateful. Gratitude is the attitude.
Let me get you on camera. Where you from?
California.
No, for real. No, serious though.
Watts, baby.
I know where you from though. Where you from?
Eastside PJ Watts.
I'm from Grape Street Rock, man.
Right.
They call you, homie?
Big Slice.
Big Slice?
Yes, yes.
All right, nigga. They call me Puto, cuz.
Right.
That hustling. Big shout out to SPI, Spotter Low. You know, I'm in the black box, had to come through, tap in, show love one time. Yeah, y'all make sure y'all subscribe. Stay tuned, all that.